Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. Oh, sorry, I just disturbed the camera there. Today's pick a card is all about how you arising triumphant, and the inspiration came from just receiving this beautiful deck I just bought from Earthdancer books, which is an imprint of Inner Traditions, and the oracle is called the Oracle of the Phoenix, and it is just sublimely beautiful. It's gorgeous. So it's the instant I saw there was going to be an oracle on the phoenix, I absolutely had to grab it because I love that as a symbol and as a concept. It's very alchemical, the sort of sense that we transform, we grow, we arise from the ashes, we move on, and we continue to evolve. So I love that as a concept, and this is an exceptionally beautiful deck, as you can tell from the three cards coming from it to help with the pile choice. So this is messages from your inner phoenix. We all have an inner phoenix, I would say, a side of us that does know how to arise from the ashes and arise triumphant, even if something has been challenging or difficult. So today's reading is going to be looking at that. It could be from the perspective that you are now arising from something, the challenge is over. It could be that the challenge is still occurring and that is sort of a process you're going through, but you can be assured of victory. Or it could be sort of somewhere between the two, and it's like what's coming next. So we'll see what we get with both this beautiful oracle and with tarot to give us a scene setting, and then we will look at some other ways of understanding signs and how to use your own powers to have the triumph that this promises. So before I go to the poll choice, just a couple of things. Firstly, every once in a while I do mention the fact that I do private readings, and so I just want to remind people of that if they're interested. There is never any pressure if you come to this free channel and that is all that you need. That is perfectly fine. But if you would like a private reading, you can only get it through my Etsy store. The details are in the description box below. And the important thing to say about that is that I do know that there are people who impersonate tarot readers on social media. So if you ever get something that claims to be from Eye of the Serpent Tarot and claims to be offering you a private reading or telling you that spirits sent me, that won't be me, because I will never go out and try and solicit readings. I'll simply every once in a while say, I have them available if you want to come to me. And in each of the description boxes of my videos, I'll have that link in case people are interested and they do a bit of research and realize they can get it without having to hear one of these occasional messages that I put in a video. But that's just to protect you and make sure if you do want a reading, you know where to get it and where it's authentic. So that I wanted to say. The second thing I want to say is every once in a while I'm going to mention this as well too. I have just started a new tarot channel, and that's called Timeline Traveller Tarot. The link to that will be in my About page on this channel. It's a different type of channel. It's not a pick a card. It's a collective reading, and it's focusing on major astrological events, major world events, major world leaders, that kind of thing. And it's point of difference, I think, to a large extent, and its aim is to be neutral. So I don't come from a perspective politically or socially that says one way is the only way or anything like that. What I try to do is look at whether it's a political figure I was looking at or some other person who has a social influencer around issues or whatever it might be, to look at their perspective, the perspective of their supporters, but also the perspective of their detractors, because I personally believe we are more similar in our views than we think, and that the algorithms and echo chambers tend to tell us so much. So I thought instead of getting frustrated with that, I should actually maybe try and see if I can bring neutral messages from the perspectives of different parties to allow for a greater understanding or something in that sort of vicinity. So if that is of interest to you, love you to go over there, check it out, subscribe if you are interested in it, and also let me know if there's any topics you'd like me to look at there, or if there are topics over there that you would like a pick a card done over here, so a much more individual thing. How does that kind of energy, say an astrology energy, if I'm looking at that, impact you more individually? Then I can certainly do something over on this channel as well. So let me know if you'd like that. So promo stuff over. Let's go to the pile choice. So what I did was I shuffled and I asked Spirit for Phoenix. Because there are some cards in here that are not Phoenix. They're either just people or unicorns or things like that. But I asked for the first three Phoenix energies to come out to really clearly show the core nature of this deck to help with the choice. And then there are two other cards from this beautiful oracle. I don't know what they are yet underneath. And in combination, that'll give us the theme for what this area of triumph is likely to be, what some of the blessings or challenges might be or might have been already. And then, as I say, we'll go into tarot. So for pile number 1, we have the gorgeous lust for life. For pile number 2, we have the power of empathy. And for pile number 3, we have free yourself from perfectionism. You're, of course, welcome to go to more than one reading. There might be actually a connection between more than one for you. That's completely up to you if you want. But hopefully, or, always go to pile 3 if you always go to pile 3. But pause if you need to, but hopefully you'll be able to work out which reading or readings you want. And when you have, the timestamps are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So I just went wow when I turned these over before pressing, pressing unpause so that we could continue with the video. I do think for many of you this could have to do with something like love or romance, given we have the foundations of love as being one of the things that could create the lust for life. But whatever it is, because love can be for a cause or a project or a dream career, or for a friendship group or a social issue or whatever it might be. If love is its core and you feel the energy that like this actually enhances your life, then this says give your all. So there's a real sense here that your victory actually is connected to the depth of commitment and excitement and energy you bring to whatever this situation is. So if you have been resolving an issue, and that's what you're rising triumphant from, it is your core of love, your energy and your commitment that has made that happen. Or if you're in the process of that, that's what's making it happen. You come from a place of love. You come from the heart. I feel very much, it's interesting with the way that this is portrayed. We've got what looks like an hourglass. So I also feel that even though in some ways otherwise this is quite a peaceful energy, love, the core, the heart, I think there's also a bit of an imperative around time, and that the timing of this and how you use your energy is important, but also that you have more time, or you are more able to control time in some way if it comes from the heart, even down to potentially controlling timelines so that you can actually create the thing you want. But what this is definitely saying is that you are not a half measures person, or in this situation, you certainly aren't. This is a passion project, a passion relationship, a definite lust for life, an energy of moving forward, growing, and so forth. I feel like for some of you, because we see the child here, that there could be something about children, starting a family, the children that you care about, or about some childhood dream that is now the timing is right to infuse with the love and give your all to, if there's been any kind of limitations. But whatever it is, this is about energy. This is about energy and commitment. So we're going to use the Dark Misfits deck, because I just sort of thought somehow, I felt a little bit like there was a synergy of colour and art in some way between the two decks. They just seemed to call to each other when I was trying to work out which tarot to use. And the thing about the Dark Misfits deck is it's square, so it actually gives me quite a lot of nuance in reading, because a card can be upright, reversed, or it can be on the way to being reversed, or on the way to being upright. So it just gives us a little bit more information. So what we're going to ask is, what is the issue or challenge? So it could be a challenge or it could be a dream for you, given these cards. We're then going to see where or how are you triumphing at the moment, or are going to triumph. And then thirdly, what remains to be either claimed or achieved in this energy for you. So firstly, a little bit more about what is the issue, challenge, dream that you have all this energy for, pile 1. 5 of Wands, 7 of Pentacles, King of Wands, heading towards a reversed King of Wands, 10 of Wands heading towards a reversed 10 of Wands. So yeah, you've already used a lot of energy actually, which is interesting. And the Sun heading towards upright. Oh, that makes sense. Give it your all this sunshine energy. Okay. So I do think it's a challenge. Or if it's a dream, there has been a challenge in bringing it about. It's slow. It has been slow going. So there's been some conflict that you've had to deal with. Relatively petty, probably, relatively small. probably just slowing things down or things going slower than you would like. You have a hell of a lot of energy. And I can relate to this. I'm really impatient, so I am certainly not criticizing you in saying this, but probably one of the challenges for you could have been that whatever this dream is, it has to take time to grow with the Seven of Pentacles. It's not sort of something, it is like planting a garden, and like much as you would love to come out the next day and see a fully fledged set of trees and flowers and so forth, it takes time for this thing to grow. So it could be your own, it could be that you've been keeping the fires going for quite a long time, but at a low level to allow growth. And now you're getting to the point where you can have the breakthrough, a bit like Nine of Wands energy of like, I'm just about to cross the finish line. That's possible. Or as I say, it could have had some minor conflict, minor competition. It doesn't look like it's been a major thing trying to stop it. Or you're now at that point because you've brought your love and your caring and nurturing to it that it doesn't matter so much anymore. But there either may be someone who wants to control it more or take it or something. There is a little bit of, if this is like a dream project, or a dream creative thing, something like that. With the King of Wands moving towards being reversed, well, it could mean a couple of things. If this is someone else, it could mean that there is someone who maybe has been watching and was a conflict before, and they're going to now become more of an issue. So the challenge may be that you kind of kept that under control while it was growing, but now someone who maybe is a competitor is more likely to start to try and either take it or do something similar and take the credit, or just kind of dominate you in some way. Doesn't have to happen. It's only on its way. So you knowing, I think, actually allows you to remove the burden of that so that you can actually be free of that burden. And with the Sun, because you like that's you're heading into the removal of the burden with the going down to the reverse 10 of Wands. And then with the Sun rising, this is like the Sun is rising for you when you do that. But I do think there is either a person that you're going to have to deal with now who would burden the thing, slow it down, or try and take something of it. Or it's that you have to make sure you can sustain that level of energy, because this is a lot of energy. So with the King of Wands, when King of Wands is upright, you'd be blazing strongly with the light and all that kind of thing. But it's like, don't burn yourself out if that's the case. So right now, there's either a risk of a competitor or there's a risk of burning yourself out. But you are able to, if you manage either of those risks, you are going to rise. The sun's going to shine. You're going to achieve, and this is something you're meant to do in your life path. Now, if it's a romance, then this may have been a kind of like, it almost feels to me like, some of those rom-coms where it starts off as almost like there's kind of like bickering and a lot of like repartee and all that kind of thing, and it slowly has been growing. But if that's the case, this is where you've got to, like, if this is something you really want, you've got to realize that it hangs in the balance and it could stay in that spot with the King of Wands reversing, the 10 of Wands reversing. So it's like, let's actually move forward and bring this more fully into life. So if it's a romance, the challenge for you now is to give it your all, as this is saying, and go, actually, I do want this in my life. No more games and are we just friends sort of thing. I don't want it to kind of eventually just turn into something that doesn't have the fire. I want the fire. So it depends on what the situation is, but it's very promising. You just need to realize how to use that energy. So how are you triumphing at the moment? What are you doing at the moment? With your love, with your lust for life, with your giving, all of that kind of thing around this that's really working for you. That is, the inner phoenix is applauding. 2 of Cups. Yeah, it could be a relationship thing for some of you. 6 of Pentacles reversed. Oh, that's interesting. 2 of Swords heading towards being reversed. And Justice heading towards being reversed. Okay, all right. So again, it's going to depend. I'm going to have to talk about it as different types of things. If this is a relationship, then this really can be right. If this is a relationship that's been, as I say, more like a kind of friendly banter and there's a kind of frisson and we're slowly building, it really can become that. It really can. And the beauty about it is there's something about that slow growth and so forth, as long as you don't let the fire go out at this point, as long as you bring it into your life more, that is very equal. Because Six of Pentacles reverse to me is always, for a relationship, one of the best things you can see. It shows the meeting of equals. There's not a power imbalance. But interestingly, it's almost as though if it's a relationship, I think you have to actually consider having a conversation about what is the longer term future of it. Because when we've got the Two of Swords going to reverse, which is sort of where it's really hard to, it's hard enough to make a decision with Two of Swords upright because you don't have much information. There's almost a reluctance to make a decision when Two of Swords reverses. That suggests that there is actually a need to just go for something without having the information. But with Justice heading in that direction as well, I think that the one thing that will help you really triumph with this is being very clear between you. If this is a relationship that you want to take further, what does that look like to each of you? What are your beliefs about things like, living together, marriage, commitment, whatever that might be? And are there any kind of almost legal issues you have to think about? So this could be something like if you'd met someone at work and it's like, do you both stay working there? It could be if one of the people has actually been in a relationship and has to separate out. But remember, this line is what is actually you're going to triumph with. So it's really telling you what some of the challenges are still, but it's saying you are going to triumph. And a big part of that is there's very strong kind of heart connection and a very strong sense of equality, like equal partners. And the same thing sort of applies if this is around something creative. It's interesting, though, if it's something creative or career-wise, the relationships you have are very important to this. There's still that risk potentially of someone who might compete, but generally the relationships you've built have moved from maybe being kind of like competitive or a little bit conflict based into something that's going to grow. So you have very good relationship skills and you've got you've got a really good team around you. It's like the team here for the Five of Wands isn't arguing anymore, is actually working really well together. But there could be something about in a creative project or a work situation or something like that, what is the legality? Again, like who, if it's a creative project, who are the actual contributors? How are they referenced? How do you work out, anything that might arise from it materially? So it's saying you can succeed with all of that, but it is saying be aware of those issues because that's important for succeeding. That it's kind of, this feels as though this is something that your energy and your creativity has had a lot to do with, and your capacity to be patient even when you really wanted to go for it, and you were kind of indefatigable, really. So it's like you've really taken it forward, but there are other people involved in whatever it is. So what remains to be, either claimed or achieved for the Phoenix to fully rise in this situation? Two of Pentacles, the Emperor coming up to upright. Oh, that's really interesting with this, if this is a relationship. And Death, the choice. Okay, it's all about choice. So there's choices now. So again, if I went back and I said this was a love relationship, it could have started with banter, but it was running a risk if you didn't sort of like go for it and say, what is it going to be now, that it could just cool to just being a friendship. But you really do have that possibility of doing it. You've just got to work out, what does this mean to each of you? Then what is yet to be claimed is still that person. And like, it's coming up as the Emperor, but it doesn't mean that has to be your gender preference or anything. It's just that sort of sense of sort of like, because it's mutual sovereignty. So it's sort of like the two energies that are equal meeting each other. But there needs to be a decision made for some reason around this. Now, as I said, it's possible if it's a relationship, the person is with someone and then they've got to decide to leave that person and transition into this relationship. Or it could be just that the two of you need to decide, yes, this is what I'm going to commit to. I'm not going to be kind of juggling it and sort of seeing, like, this is the choice. Is this the person? Am I going to make that choice? The good thing about the Death card is it doesn't mean you have to make it tomorrow. You can take a little bit of time. I mean, it's not a lot of time because there's a high energy thing and it's giving it your all, but part of giving it your all is making sure it's a considered decision. And the Death card allows that a little bit more so than the Judgment card, which says make the decision quickly, it'll go. But I do think there's a balance operating here. I do think it's not that far from that Judgment energy. So understanding there does need to be a choice. This needs to transition in some way, either into just being a really good friendship, which is fine, or into being a love relationship. If this is about something creative, then there is decisions to be made of a material nature. Who's going to lead it? There is something about leadership there because it's involving more than one person. And what do you want it to really transition to? And what almost would come next? So as I say, it depends on what this is. But either way, it involves at least one other person. You are a natural leader in this and a natural energy, but there needs to be an equalising out of that. Everything from materially through to legally, potentially. But there is a lot of positivity here. So let's explore it with a little bit more in terms of oracles. So I thought that I would do a couple of dream cards for some signs that the triumph is either consolidating if you feel you've already achieved it, and what's next is literally what's next. What choices do we do now? What do we create next? Where do we use that energy for? Or if you are still going through the process of the challenge so that you can rise like the phoenix, what sign would tell you that the rising is coming? And then we're going to look with each of those at some healing, focusing and empowering messages, and some astrology as well. So let's see what we get. So this is meant to give us a little bit more information about the area or areas in which you are rising like a phoenix as signs or symbols. So firstly, we have journaling, self-reflection, catharsis, new chapter, transmuting pain. And the second one, so it feels like something creative, very much about communication associated with this. And the second one is dance. Okay, exercise, movement, victory, confidence, achievement, flow. Well, that's very much this energy. But I think it's almost telling us a step-by-step thing here, actually, because I feel like this is getting into the flow and going for it. Like I feel like it goes with it, give it your all. Whereas I think this is going back to the core energy. What did you love? What did you want? If we journal, we're actually telling our story. So I think because there are other people associated with this, it's important for you to really be able to articulate to yourself, what is this to you? What did you want from it? So where is it in your heart? And reflecting on that's important because, as I say, this is so self-generated in so many levels, and it's such a passion thing, whether it's love or creative projects. But as I say, because any of those things, I mean, some creative projects only really require you and then hopefully finding an audience. Any career thing sometimes is just you finding your promotions or whatever. By and large, yes, people have to promote you or whatever, but generally speaking, it's more self-directed. But there is something in this reading about other people. So I think getting back to the core of what is it that you loved, and then giving it all, but enjoying it, like seeing it as a joyous thing, because it is about achievement. So again, it's saying it's going to happen. But let's see, like, what kind of, when we talk about the phoenix, we are talking about rising from the ashes. So there's a healing process on one level or another. So I'm just going to look at what it is for each of these, the healing, focus, and empowerment messages. So around the journaling, around getting to the core of where that love energy is, what it was for you, we have parents. Okay. So there could be something here that goes back to childhood and goes back to what you wanted, either in a relationship or in create. And it's interesting because I said, like, there's something about children there. So it's more likely to be something about what you wanted to do as a child and rising fully with that, or the kind of love that you would have wanted as a child, and then maybe love that you would find in a partner. But there's some patterning from the parents to think about. Or it could be that you are wanting, you are healing within so that you're ready to be a parent. Let's see the focus energy for you that would be helpful when you're journaling and getting back to the core of what it is that you love. Practice. Okay. So it's like practice is perfect. Actually, that may be how journaling can help you. Maybe what it's saying is that writing it down is like practicing how you would describe it and how you would bring it into being, a form of manifestation in a way. So, some people do vision boards and things like that, but maybe for you it's writing something down. And a message of empowerment about that is don't underestimate your ability to solve the problem. So if you have got an issue around this, the journaling and writing it down may be exactly how you solve it. So I think there's some practical advice there. Then when we look at dance and getting into the flow, going for it and really enjoying it, because I think you're meant to enjoy this, what else can be healed? Inadequacy, okay. And when we got parents in inadequacy, I think for many of you, you might have had parents who wanted you to be one particular thing and you wanted to be something else. You're not inadequate for this. My God, you're not. You've got the heart, you've got the lust for life, you've got the ability, you've got the drive, you've got everything you need. And even the fact that we've got dance, that's a skill. Journaling is a skill. Don't underestimate your skills. You achieving this will make you feel it's something that you've wanted for a long time. And I think it's something you are going to achieve, and it will make you realize that you're not inadequate. What is a focus that can help you? Reading. Okay, oh, that's interesting. There's writing up here. I think it's just going back and reading what you wrote. I don't think I mean, for some of you, maybe, depending upon what you're doing, reading on something could make you feel confident or make sure that you're clear. I mean, if you are looking at some legal or business things, reading about what you need to do to protect yourself, obviously. But otherwise, I think it's going back to first principles and reading what you wrote yourself, because I think your written word and your spoken word are very powerful. So the empowering message for you, it's okay to say no. So I think in bargaining, whatever you do, it's okay to say no to what your parents wanted compared to what you wanted. It's okay to say no if you're bargaining with people. I think with the King of Wands heading down to reverse and the Emperor heading up to the upright, it may be that there was a lot of very strong parental influence on some of you in your family from your father, and there might be some reconciliation and you becoming yourself and having your own way of doing things. And if you go back to what you want, you can say no to some of the programming or patterning that might have happened as well. Okay, let's just get an astrology energy, like a couple of pairs of planets for each of these as well that can help you. So around getting to the heart of what you do, journaling what you want, knowing that you're going to be able to do this, knowing that you can. Jupiter and Chiron. Yeah, there's a blessing that comes from healing. This is a healing process for you. But I think it's an awakening process. And the other thing I would say is that Chiron, we always talk about it as healing, but it's also the teacher of magicians. I think there's something in you that is a manifestation ability that happens when you write. Like either you write prophetically or you kind of do bring things into being when you write. So this might be understanding the expansion of your mastery in some way, and that you could teach others. And then in terms of the kind of getting into the flow, the dance, going all for it, Neptune and Pluto. So this is finding out your really powerful spiritual energy to transform. So there is something about you that is very powerful in terms of manifestation. And so that's why we have so much energy, I think, here with the Phoenix. And if this is about love, then there's something about parental issues or others who made you feel inadequate, but now you're not going to know you're healing. Healing expands your heart, expands your energy, and it brings in a soulmate, I would say, with Neptune and Pluto. Highly transformative. Okay, so we're also going to just get a bit of magic, because I think Phoenixes bring magic. So we're going to get a couple of sigil protections or elements for you, and we're going to see a kind of spiritual archetype that you could manifest to help with this. So the sigils, first of all. Intuition, increased perception and clear knowledge. Actually, I'm going to put this over here. Though I do think it kind of starts with the writing, but I do think that you're going to find as a process of this how psychic you are. And victory. Victory. You are going to achieve absolute accomplishment of all goals. This is going to happen. You've got the heart for it. You've got the energy. Just go for it with that sense that, yes, I'm going to win. You deprogram yourself from any sense of inadequacy or this isn't the right thing. But you just have the conversations you need to have with whoever else is involved to clarify you, because you are more than equal to this. And those that are going to continue with you on this path will treat you as an equal if you do that. Like, it's time. So let's see the spiritual archetype that you could manifest. The Mountain Guide, strength, perseverance, and resilience. Yeah, you've had that. I think you've had it all along. And like with this energy, you are the driving force of this. You are. And you will go for it, and you will do it, and you will climb that mountain. And it's big. Whatever this is big. I'm kind of being drawn to the mountain in Lenormand, and that is always a big thing. It's something to achieve. It's a big achievement. But this is saying you're going to have victory. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this reading, but there still are a few challenges to deal with, but you're more than ready for it, pile one. So what we're going to do to finish off is I thought I'd get a very colourful tarot deck for this. In many readings now I've been saying choose a number between 1 and 5, and I'm just going to put the things down, and depending upon which number you choose, that will be a synthesizing message. So if you could just think of a number at 1 to 5, if you have to pause to do that, that's fine, because in a second I'm going to start laying them out. So if you chose number 1, we have the Hierophant reversed. If you chose number 2, we have the Six of Wands reversed. If you chose number 3, we have the Queen of Cups. If you chose number 4, we have the Wheel of Fortune. And if you chose number 5, we have the Nine of Cups. Okay, so if you chose number 1, part of what is going to make you successful is what is different about you. So it may be the relationship will be different because you have both of you together have an unconventional view about, marriage or things like that, but it fits and you're equals and you're in agreement. If it's about something creative or it's about a career thing or something like that, you are different to the norm, but that is what is going to actually ultimately be your ace in the hand, really. If you chose number 2, some of the drive for this is you haven't been recognised. I think for those who chose number 2, that the parental issue and the inadequacy is a big part of this, but you have everything you need, pile 1. Just know that. You have everything you need. So this is about you turning that around, you being recognised for who you are and what you can do. If you chose number 3, your intuition is a very big part of this. Your capacity to be empathic and deal with other people is a big part of it as well. You're very emotionally mature, and that's one of the reasons why you're the right leader for this, and the one who probably does need to instigate the conversations that are necessary. If you chose number 4, this is extremely fortunate. Your time is coming. In fact, it's so fortunate at this point, I would say, any dream you might have, even if it was like winning a lottery or something, maybe just throw a ticket or 2 in. It can't hurt. It's not that it necessarily is, if you don't win that it hasn't happened, because I do think there's something that you're working on and will happen, but there is a lot of luck around you at the moment. And for pile number 5, if you chose with the Knight of Cups, I think this is a choice that is about this being about romance in some way, or about a message from your heart, an invitation from your heart to go back and to see this across the finish line. So I hope that resonates for you, pile 1. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the power of empathy, which tells me right from the beginning that your capacity to understand other people, connect with other people, feel for other people, and maybe like literal empathic psychic abilities has a lot to do with what you're arising from, and may in fact be a kind of a rite of passage of understanding your empathic abilities and how to use them. And it could well be with these cards together that this is saying that there is something you've been through where maybe the lines were blurred between you and others. Maybe you put others a little bit too much in the forefront compared to yourself, but you've learnt from that because it's been a journey of mastery. You've got the key to mastery for you to understand how to use that ability. How to make that work for you rather than it being a little bit like an open wound, because I think empathy can be a bit like an open wound if you don't know how to focus it, how to use it, and so forth. And I think one of the things that's part of your rising like a phoenix is you've started to see thoughts become matter. It's like how you've responded to that and what you've thought about it has created outcomes. So if you have felt very merged with someone, maybe it was too much and it made a codependent situation. If you felt the pain of others, then you found it started to reflect in your life. I think this is you understanding the power of that and that you have truly mastered it, both in the sense that you really do create from this, but if you can take your empathy and use it as mastery, then you can understand someone's pain and not take that on, but actually through your thoughts and your caring, create something that resolves the situation for others. So I think you're a natural healer, a natural therapist, a natural counselor, a natural coach, but I suspect that you didn't know you were. And I suspect you've spent quite a bit of your life, as I say, almost reeling from one sort of situation to another where you have been so aware of other people that it's been hard to stay focused on what you need, and like that has been what you've actually learned. You've had the aha moment, or you're about to have the aha moment, when you start to realize that instead of being slave to your empathy, you can actually master it, and then it becomes something that helps you manifest good outcomes for yourself, but also for other people. So let's see what we get with tarot. So I'm using the Dark Misfits tarot, which has, it's square, so it allows me a lot more nuance. I can look at both upright and reversed, and also cards going towards being reversed and cards coming towards being upright again. So we're going to have a look at a little bit more about what the issue or challenge was or is. We're going to have a look at how are you triumphing at the moment, and then we're going to look at what remains to be claimed or achieved. So firstly, a little bit more about how have you become a master, I think, with empathy and with understanding the power of your thoughts. But if you're rising Phoenix light, like what made that difficult? What made that a challenge that you had to understand and master? So we have, wow, the Tower going towards reversal. Well, that makes sense with this energy. We have the Two of Swords reversed. We have the Hanged Man reversed. We have the Three of Cups reversed. Okay. And then we have the Four of Wands. Okay, all right. So Tower reverse is exactly the kind of energy I think is operating now. What I feel with you at the moment is you're starting to realize the power of your empathy. I think you are actually an empath. I don't think it's just about being empathic. Tower upright, of course, as everything seems to fall apart. I think that you have gone through a lot in your life where, as I say, you've taken on other people's pain, other people's issues, and it's actually manifested in your life in various ways. And it's something where you are starting to bring back control. Something really major occurred that seemed to fall apart, that you're actually realizing now you can start to bring back into control, because as the Tower moves into reverse, when the Tower is reversed, you can incrementally build and restructure rather than have something break down. So I just think there's probably been relatively minor but constant sort of things in your life where you've absorbed other people's stuff and not realized what was going on. But something that really mattered to you or something that was pretty major has occurred, but you're working it out. You're saying, oh, actually. And even the power of the empathy and understanding the situation and understanding others makes it easier for you to plan and strategize, and makes it easier for you to deal with that energy when normally the information isn't available. I think you're realizing you can, instead of, your empathy gives you a lot of information, but there are probably decisions to be made and thoughts that need to be done and strategies that need to be made. But if you have realized your thoughts can create something, you now know it's not so important to get every detail. It's like understanding the dynamic is all you needed, looking at it differently, seeing this different perspective, understanding that you've drawn in with the Three of Cups other people's stuff all the time, and that has tended it towards the dramatic and the hyperbolic and the difficult. But that once you realize you don't need all the information. If your thoughts are creating something, you can actually create the nice relationships, the nice environment and so forth. And it's good for everybody. But it is kind of like a magician realizing they have a power, a secret, or a superpower, like you're a superhero. The super empathy, create with my thoughts hero. And it's like you probably don't want to tell somebody that that's the case, because they may feel like you're controlling things, but you're not really doing that. Your empathy actually means that you understand what they need just as much as you understand what you need. But you're now understanding how much you can actually start to then create something more positive for them, and it's a good outcome. So you're kind of like a superhero who operates in secret and people don't even know it happened, kind of. So let's see where you can triumph now. It's a very interesting energy. We have the Sun moving up to upright. We have the Chariot moving up to upright. Okay. We have the Fool moving up to upright. Wow, this is big, Balto. And then we have the Ten of Pentacles. Okay, so the Sun moving up to upright tells me you're starting to realize that this ability and your capacities here are a key part of your life path. It isn't some sort of fluke. It wasn't a curse, and now it isn't just some sort of like weird power you have. It's actually part of your life path. The Chariot moving upwards, it's the same thing. It's like I'm realizing suspicions of destiny. I'm realizing that's happening, and I'm ready to move forward with it. The Fool moving up to the beginning, I can feel okay with this as a new journey, but I know enough now and I'm wise enough now that I can take the risks, because I have enough wisdom to know what I'm doing. And the Ten of Pentacles says this can create very good material outcomes for yourself and for those you care about. And if there's any sort of issues around family or love or any of those things, very, very positive for that. It's like understanding that you can bring that into being. Okay, so then let's have a look at what still remains to be claimed or achieved. We have the Five of Swords heading to reversed. We have the Three of Swords heading to upright. And we have the Devil heading to upright. Okay, all right. So this is all about the thoughts when you're not in mastering them, kind of made you feel like giving up. But this is moving. You have now realized you don't need to give up because it's moving. Oh, sorry, it's moving to reverse. So it's moving to the I'm not going to give up. So this is like understanding your thoughts can actually work for you. They don't have to be sort of something that always makes you walk away feeling defeated. You are actually moving towards being able to stick with something all the way through. Three of Swords moving back up here. A lot of the pain has been resolved. The heart is healing. And then the Devil moving up to upright. This has released you to understand your own material power and to use it responsibly, because you are so empathic. Like the empathy caused so much pain for you. You couldn't actually turn around and use your energy in a malefic way because it's just going to come back on you because you're empathy. But you are freed from the pain and the kind of sense of entrapment that gave you, and you can now use that more specifically. This is very powerful, sort of alchemically and magically. So I want to do is I want to have a look at a couple of dream symbols to show some of the energy. And I'm feeling like this is what happened with pile one, so I suspect it will with here too, that one will be around your mastery and one will be around the thoughts that matter, so that we kind of divide these two things up to sort of see a little bit about the overall message. So these are signs either that you have triumphed or the triumph is coming, depending upon where you feel you are on this particular journey. So around the mastery, boat, adventure, travel, exploration, love, spiritual journey. Yeah, knowing your spiritual power. What I felt when I saw that, there's that saying, a rising tide raises all boats. I feel like that's part of this, because you will help others. Because you can't not want to. If you did something that was unfair or painful or horrible to others, you'd end up feeling it yourself. It would just ricochet back, and you know that. But you also now know that you can actually bring about thoughts that bring about good outcomes. So this is like the mastery allows you to raise other people up as well too, whether they know you're doing it or not. And for the thoughts one, we have clock, stress, fear of death, heavy expectations, impending decision. Okay. This is you understanding when you were negative and when you felt overwhelmed, it made you feel rushed. But if you know that your thoughts can actually override things, then you can get the Tower reverse is not in such a hurry. It's not, everything isn't falling apart. It isn't stressful. So it's understanding that. So I felt that like with the Phoenix energy, there's a lot about healing. So I thought for each of these, we would have a healing, focus, and empowerment message. So a healing energy, which is about you understanding your mastery, the mastery of your empathy and your kind of magic. It's very magical. Is voice. Okay. So this may be that you need to talk about it with some people potentially. I think you have to be careful who you talk about with this, because they might think, as I say, that you're controlling or whatever, but you're not really. So, but if you know there's someone who could understand it, certainly. Otherwise, singing, speaking your truth to yourself, making your thoughts be heard, even if it's just with yourself. A focus energy for you. Career change. So now that you realise this, onwards and upwards, pile two, or in whatever you want to do. It might be that you're meant to be a healer or a teacher or a coach or something like that, and that may be how you can give voice to this in a more conventional way. The empowerment message for you. No matter how hard you try to convince yourself otherwise, you are never alone. So I think you probably, the healing energy here for you was that you almost maybe had to start to cloister yourself away, I think that's how you pronounce it, because you were like, it was overwhelming. But now you know actually there's a way to use this and connect with others. Okay, so then in the healing, which is understanding the power of thought when you control it as opposed to being controlled by it, the healing energy for you there, competitions, getting past the competition that others might have done. And look, that's the other thing too. Like if you're very empathizing with people, it might be very hard to differentiate yourself out. And if you really are the person who is better at something, you might have always felt the pain of the other person and felt like you couldn't compete. But if you start to understand that your thoughts matter and there are different ways to be successful, then that can maybe heal that sort of energy. Let's see the focus that would help. Friendship. Yeah, this is how you can have friendships that are not competitive, not vampiric, all of that kind of thing. And the empowerment message for you is refusing to conform dismantles the world's fear-based system. Courageously be you. Yeah. And it is about being you because, as I say, part of the thoughts is to be able to have a kind of I can care about people, empathize and understand in my thoughts and the way that I voice it, and I help others can help them. But I also have to have my own space. I have to be myself as well. So I think it's like, this is a power that's not common. So be courageous also in claiming that, I think. Let's see some astrology pairings around this energy. So around raising all the boats, and maybe doing something around your career now, if this interests you. Sun and Pluto, yeah, big changes in your life path coming out of this. Understanding the power of your life path. Understanding that power is part of your life path. And it's nothing, like you have the greatest regulatory process on your power. Like you are not going to overuse it or extend it too far or become a despot because it's based on empathy. You just can't. Like it's just like universal law. It's like you're just going to soak up everything you've sent out if it's not appropriate. But if it's appropriate, think about how powerful your thoughts are and how beautiful that is. And then when we look at understanding that about your thoughts and governing the thoughts rather than them governing you, the astrological energy around that is Mercury and Venus. Yes, turning your thoughts into something beautiful and something that you love and something that you would want to communicate. So that's lovely. So I had thought with the Phoenix, it's quite mystical. I mean, this whole thing is mystical. You're a very mystical person. But we're going to get a couple of sigils to be protective energy, and we're going to look at a spiritual archetype that this triumph and this Phoenix arising is about for you. So the first of the sigils is solar application. Yeah, the life path. Life-sustaining energy, revitalization of your personal power. Yeah, you're very powerful, but in a really good way. And manifestation, turning your thoughts and words into reality. Sometimes Spirit is so on the nose with this, like thoughts become matter. Like you really are, you really can manifest. But it's like, I think Spirit knows what it's doing, It like gives the real power to those that aren't going to abuse it. I think a lot of the people who would abuse power, they try and they fall. But you're actually bringing a really good energy to this. Let's see the spiritual archetype that you might embody with all of this. The alchemist, yeah, that's right. And yeah, it is a very alchemical process. Transformation, magic. You're very magical. This group's very, very magical. But it's nice magic. I really like that this sort of magic exists. It's lovely. Okay, so to finish off, I'm going to do what I often do, which is I ask you to pick a number between 1 and 5 because I'm shuffling another very colourful tarot deck. I just sort of wanted colour because the original Oracle deck's so colourful. And depending upon which number you pick, that will be your synthesizing message. So if you need to pause to choose the number, do so, because I'm just about to deal out. So for number 1, we have the Fool reversed. For number 2, we have the 4 of Coins reversed. For number 3, we have the Ace of Cups. For number 4, we have the 7 of Cups reversed. And for number 5, we have the Star reversed. Okay, so if you chose number 1, I would say you've done this in many lives because this is not actually unfamiliar to you. I think this aha moment's not unfamiliar to you. Weirdly enough, even if it's sort of like the first time you've had this understanding of what you can do in this life, it's sort of like there's other things, if you think back about it, that's part of your process, that because you're so other person centered, I think, and you absorb so much from other people, your focus is so much on other people. You've probably had various times in your life when you've suddenly realized you learned something that was true of you, and you weren't even looking to learn something that's true of you. So there's something familiar about this for you. If you chose number 2, old things that are not stable will break down so that the new good stuff can come in. And fits a lot with that tower going into reversed energy. You're going to kind of like recast some material things around you to make them more stable. If you chose number 3, this goes direct from the heart. This is a heart-based thing. It could bring love in. It could bring in, the career of the heart, the focus of the heart, and the Holy Grail in a way. This is finding the thing. If you chose number 4, it's very realistic. This whole thing's very realistic. You might have actually been saying, oh, this is too much. It's too much. It's not. 7 of Cups reversed. This is not a dream. This is not a delusion. Yes, it is happening, pole 2. And if you chose number 5 with the star reversed, what still remains to be done is, now that you know you have this ability, what dream do you want to dream up? You have been so other person's focus that you're not thinking about that. And so you're being invited now to think about, what is my dream? What is my star? So I hope that resonates for you, pole 2. You're a very interesting group of people, and I think the world needs people like you, so it's great. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pole 3, to your reading. So you came to the intriguing free yourself from perfectionism. So although I know some people may just have gone to pole 3 because they always go to pole 3, and that's fine. This is still your message if it's the case. I suspect if you came here because of the nature of it, you know that you tend to be a bit of a perfectionist and what that can do. The interesting thing for you is this is trying to show you how to relax, calm down, and get into tap into your real power so that you don't get in your own way. But it's also saying, in a weird way, your perfectionism, it's as long as it isn't controlling you, I don't think actually it's too much of a problem, because I think you're so fiery and so creative and so almost elemental that whether you meant to or not, for the most part, most of what you would create or do is pretty close to what it needs to be authentically right from the get-go. Like, I actually think one of the things that might be saying, like, if this could very well be for very creative people, writers, painters or whatever. The reason it might be saying this is that I feel like it's such, like, I know it's a phoenix, but like this deck has all sorts of different colors and energies, and you've got all this fiery wands-like energy and this creative energy and this visual energy. And I just feel like this is really, and it's talking about meditation, getting within, and it's talking about radiant power. I think you're really creative and really inspirational. And maybe the reason that you need to get away from the perfectionism is that things are pretty damn good first time round. Like, if you wrote a novel, you wouldn't need to edit it much. If you did a painting, it doesn't need a lot of touch-ups or whatever. It's like it's just kind of there. But you might have thought, oh, I have to go over and over and over something. So I feel like this is meant to get you to, I mean, it doesn't mean, like, if you write a novel and you're used to editing it 10 times, maybe this is saying edit it once and be okay, because it's going to be better than the average right from the get-go. And then you can go into the process. And if you get it traditionally published, someone else will do a bit of editing and you can tinker with it then. But it's only getting out of your own way, because you are a life force and you are a creative force and you are a force to be reckoned with. But you kind of think it has to be perfect. The other thing that this could be is I've known people who feel as though because they are very naturally talented. And in fact, my brother was a bit like this, very naturally talented, very brilliant in many ways, but kind of thought it had to be perfect and had to be celebrated the very first time. And when it didn't happen, would tend to move away and do something else. And yet, probably for my brother, his greatest work was the thing that he just did because he loved it, which was astrology, and a book that he wrote coming out of it. That took a lot of time, and he did work on for a long time. But a lot of the other things, it was kind of like, if it doesn't work instantly, it's abandoned. So I think this could be either it's okay, just get it out there once you do it. Or it could be, don't feel something has to be perfect the first time round. Keep going back within, go for the core thing, the first principle, and unlock your power. It's going to be pretty close to perfect the first time round, but don't get discouraged if because it might be, and other people might not recognize that the first time. So I think it's got something to do with, to be honest, dealing with creative genius. Like there is a challenge with that. So if you don't relate to that, well, I won't say that yet, because let's see what we get with tarot. Tarot might give this a different slant, but if it's still saying that, then I'd say if you don't feel that, then maybe try one of the other readings, because it just feels like a really powerfully creative energy that I'm feeling here. So we're going to use tarot. We're going to use the Dark Misfits Tarot, which has the sort of genius in it of being a square card. And so it means that I not only have upright and reversed, I also have going towards reversed and returning to upright. So there's a lot of nuance in this deck, which I really love. So we're going to firstly ask a little bit more about what the issue or challenge is that you're rising Phoenix, like either from, or you're about to do that if you're going through the challenge at the moment. We're going to ask, how are you triumphing? And then we're going to ask what remains to be claimed or achieved. So right now, a bit more about this. We have the Death card heading to reversed because it's going down in that direction. We have Two of Cups reversed. We have Three of Cups heading to upright. We have the Devil heading to... No, hang on. That one's heading to... That's upside down. That's heading to reverse, sorry. And this one's heading upright. And we have the Ten of Pentacles reversed. All right, yeah. I do think there's something in here for you which is about understanding not to abandon something too early, or to feel that it will never be perfected, or to never take it out into the world because you're constantly tinkering with it. Because the Death card here, where there's meant to be a transition and there's meant to be, like the next stage coming out of this and your radiant power coming, is heading towards finding it hard to make a decision. And then we got the Two of Cups reversed, things that really matter. It's particularly things that really matter to you. It's hard to make a decision. What that can often do with the Three of Cups turning to reversed is that you might crowdsource for viewpoints all the time and then feel dissatisfied with that. The Devil returning to upright is that you can get too entrapped in other people's opinions at this point. And then with the Ten of Pentacles reversed, you're not fully forming and creating the thing that you're meant to create, because you are a creative energy. Now, anything could have made you like this. It could be a couple of disappointments when you were young. It could have been with my brother. I think it was that, he was very, very precocious at school and everything came very easily at school. But then later in life, things get more complex, and that was a bit of a shock to the system. So I think it just depends on what it is that does it. There could be family expectations too that you feel like you're not going to fulfill unless you're perfect. But this is like, get within yourself, because the power is all there. And this is much more giving over your power to other people's opinions about what you do, which makes it really hard for you to make a decision. So I feel it's that. It's like, it's not the work itself. The work is amazing. It's just, how is it received? And are you ready to show it? And it is something that matters to you. And I've come across this with creative people too, that they might have a couple of creative talents, and you might be like this. And you might have a creative talent that's not as core to you, that you do quite easily and it seems to work well, but there's something that you really care about. And because you care about it so much, you're kind of keeping it all within. So this is saying, just get back to first principles about what this really means to you, because the power is there. So let's see. And so I do think that's what this is about. That's what those cards seem to be saying to me. So let's see, how are you triumphing? Where is it working now? Because you might have already realized this with the meditation, and this might be freeing you anyway. I mean, you at the least probably know that this is an issue if you were drawn to that card. So where are you triumphing now? We have Strength reversed. We have the Ace of Cups reversed. We have the Nine of Wands. And we have the Page of Wands. Yeah, I like all this wand energy. Yeah, you have realized this. This will be, yeah, I know, kind of energy, I think. Because when we have Strength reversed and we have the Ace of Cups reversed, you have actually submerged your own strength and ability about something that really matters to you. That's why it's saying go back within. If you meditate, go back within and go to first principles, you'll find the power to do this. You're closer. This is what I'm saying, you're so close. And as I say, if you've done something and it matters to you and you're thinking, oh, I'm just a bit scared to send it out, oh, I'll have to tinker with it 5 more times, don't. It's close enough. It really is close enough. The point now is to put it out there and believe in it with the Page of Wands. No, don't think so much now about what will other people think about it. Think about what will I do with it and what do I do next? Because you are a creative powerhouse, but you've got to believe in yourself, pile 3. So let's see what is left to be claimed or achieved. We have the 4 of Cups heading towards being reversed. We have the Queen of Pentacles heading towards upright. And we have the Knight of Swords heading towards upright. Okay, great. So this is good. You're really so close. The 9 of Wands is true here. 4 of Cups reverse. You know, what is, you've got to like understand that this was an emotional block and you're really close to it, but you do have to understand that. With 4 of Cups reverse is when we understand and release an emotional block. So this is because it matters to you so much. But it's also why you're so good at it. And that's what you've got to kind of click your mind through to doing. And you're really close. Queen of Pentacles coming to upright. You're going to be able to dedicate yourself to this. If any of this is something you want to make money out of, you're going to make money out of it. If you want to finally commit to the vision, you're going to commit to it. And then when that happens with the Knight of Swords, things will go very quickly. So you've slowed yourself down, and this energy really doesn't want to be slowed down. You're very quick. You're very creative. You're fiery. You're elemental. You know, like you really are. The speed of what you could do. And this is what I'm saying. I think one of your issues might be that you do things very fast and you think, oh, it must need lots more work. But you're just someone who's so talented that the first cut's going to be pretty close to right in whatever it is. And it may even be that you've got to back that enough, send it out to people, get the feedback, and then use that rather than continuing to iterate it, because you'll get to a point where you just don't send it out at all. And then with the 10 of Pentacles reversed, it just doesn't manifest. So there's a bit of urgency for this for you. So let's get you a couple of signs, like dream signs, that'll give you a sense that, you know, that you're ready to cross that finish line and ready to get something out there and ready to claim your radiant power. And what I found with the other two is that the dream signs seem to align quite well with these 2 cards. So the inner journey and then the power that comes from it. So a sign around the inner journey, and it literally might be saying meditate. You might need to meditate, pile 3. That is play on words. Okay. Giving someone a ring can have 2 meanings. So that's an interesting one to think about. Meditate on signs that maybe have 2 meanings, words that have 2 meanings. Pay attention to synchronicities around that. I mean, think about it. Giving someone a ring is like, you know, offering kind of marriage or something like that. But it's also like communicating something. So it's like either reach out and communicate with others with give someone a ring, like ring them up and talk to them about what you're doing, or make a commitment to what you're doing here. Let's meditate on that kind of thing. There may well be kind of messages the universe is trying to send you like that. And around claiming the radiant power, journaling. So like write about, I do think there's a writing energy for quite a few of you here, but write down what you want and write down these sort of play on words and play around with words and so forth, because it allows you to get to the core of what came out of it. So if you do a meditation, write down what happens in the meditation. Don't just rely on your memory. Okay, so what I also wanted to do with this, with each of these, was look at it from a healing, focus and empowerment message, because I do think when we're rising Phoenix, like we are healing from something. So let's see, what is the healing that you could do in meditation and in thinking about probably how you interpret things, actually. So how are you interpreting what people want? How are you interpreting what you're creating? The healing energy, self-image. Yeah, like why are you blocking yourself, Pile 2? Because you are so talented. Let's see what focus you can have. Nutrition. Okay. So this is how do you nourish yourself? And so it could literally be, for some of you, if you want to meditate and get within and have the energy, and you just might need to feed yourself a bit better. But otherwise, it could be like, what are you nourishing yourself? What creative energy nourishes you? Rather than worrying about whether other people are seeing you the right way, what nourishes you? And then an empowerment message is bring the light from within you to the surface to shine. Yeah, because you have so much light, so much fire. Okay, and so then when we're also looking at, okay, if you've gone through that meditation, you brought the light to the surface, how you're recording that and like kind of having a testament almost, what would be the healing energy around that? Okay, you need to stop being a martyr to all of this. A martyr to the system, a martyr to the industry, a martyr to your creativity. It's like you're meant to enjoy this. You're meant to enjoy it. It's not meant to be a trial. So like think about that. And has there been sort of stuff in your family or things like that that's taught you that you know, like dedication to something, art for art's sake, as opposed to money or something like that, or like don't just do that. What can you focus on so that you enjoy this and you find the radiant power out of it, rather than you feel like you're kind of a slave to your muse, so to speak. Craft, like enjoy the craft of it. And see it as craft. You will develop your craft as you go along. Don't second guess it. And thirdly, an empowering message for you. What is truly best for you is best for everyone involved. Yeah, like it's like if you go to like, what are you enjoying doing? How is it creative? That will work with other people. You don't have to sort of think about how do I, change my art or limit it to fit with, what society wants or what's likely to be a bestseller or whatever, because if you go to the core of the true energy here, it's too powerful. It's going to work. You've just got to believe in it. Pile 3. Okay, so let's see some astrology, a couple of planetary pairings to help you with each of these. So firstly, around kind of working on your own self-image and what nourishes you so that you can really make the most of drawing your creativity out. We have Jupiter and Chiron, like major healing. This is a major healing thing. And look, maybe there's even a bit of a clue in here, because it was saying play on words. So it's not really a play on words, but it's kind of a play on images almost. It may well be that it's saying that the best thing to do with your art is to go into whatever are these sort of things, the martyr energy, the self-image, the nutrition, the craft, that most trigger you in a way, that most need to be healed within you, and make that a subject of your art, because it's going to be so profound and it's going to flow really easily. And then in terms of the journaling and finding what is best for you and your radiant power within, we have Venus and Neptune, like dare to dream about what you love and what you find beautiful. And it doesn't have to be what other people love and find beautiful. You'll find that other people do, because you're very talented, but dare to dream. So on the topic of daring to dream, let's bring you some magical protection and also have a look at a spiritual archetype that you could embody. So 2 sigils to bring you some magical protection around rising phoenix-like. So firstly, blessings, good fortune, divine gifts, and all the best things. Well, you have divine gifts. Like I do think Spirit wants you to know you're very gifted, and that is one of the blessings. And it's meant to be something that you enjoy and you believe in. And also, and all the best things. You don't have to martyr yourself for this. You can actually have the good life. And resolving resentment. Okay, releasing past trauma, turning away from anger. So if you felt you did have to martyr yourself and you couldn't do your art, or people didn't understand you or whatever, let that go, because you have the blessings. It's like you have to kind of move past that so that you can claim that. The spiritual archetype that would be working for you in this, or that you might embody in being the phoenix, is, wow, the scribe. I do think for many of you it's writing, but otherwise it's like write your own life, reading, writing, gaining knowledge. But I think it's really about, I feel this kind of links you a bit with the Archangel Metatron. He is the scribe of the divine. There is something here about writing your own story, going within to all this creative energy that you have. Stop worrying about like the perfection of the craft. It'll work itself out just by the expression of who you truly are and your own radiant power. Let go of any resentments from the past, because you are meant to write this story for yourself, because you are so creative. Okay, so to finish off, I'm just doing what I often do, which is ask you to choose a number from 1 to 5. I'm using another really colourful tarot deck because I thought this was such a colourful oracle. And I'm just going to lay out 5 cards, and depending upon which number you choose, that will be your synthesizing message. So if you already know, that's fine, but if not, pause because I'm about to lay them out. Okay, for number 1, we have the Wise Cat, which is an additional card in this deck, reversed. For number 2, we have the 5 of Coins reversed. For number 3, we have the 4 of Coins. For number 4, we have the 5 of Wands. And for number 6, we have the Ace of Wands. Okay. So if you chose number 1, I think this is saying that you have to kind of understand your own and find your own wisdom, like you're relying on external wisdom too much. So that's what I'm saying, you're relying on, I mean, yes, with most creative things, you're probably going to have to find an audience, an industry, supporter, that kind of thing. But really at this point, you need to access your own wisdom and your own ability. That's why it's saying to meditate. If you chose number 2, this is about finding your people, and you will find your people. I mean, it's a promise that you're going to find your people. Also, if you have been struggling financially, it's going to turn around. Not dissimilarly, if you chose number 3 with the 4 of Coins, you have the structure you need to build material outcomes here. So don't underestimate that. And again, things are good enough as a starting point in most of the creative things you could be doing here to get yourself going. So don't keep thinking you've just got to iterate one more time. You've got the foundation. If you chose number 4, I think you've got a lot of internal debating within your head. Again, this is why it's getting back to first principles. It feels almost like, I think of like artists who do art installations, and it's like some of it's painting and some of it's sculpture and some of it's writing. You might have a number of different skills. You've got to really work out which one is the best one at the moment to express the core you. So there's something like that, because it's almost as though it's creating an internal battle within you that is another way that you're stopping. Like which one is the most perfect to do, and they're all fighting with each other. And if you chose number 5, a new inspiration is coming in, and you're just meant to kind of connect in with it and love it and run with it because it's a blessing. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 3. I think you're all massively creative, and I'd love to hear and see what you do, because I think you are genuinely geniuses in one or more aspects of creativity. I hope that this resonates. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.